It's 8:30 p.m. and I'm tired. Is this what adulting is like? Hello and welcome to Here for the Chaos. We're not even gonna do none of the fancy stuff. We're just gonna get right into it because we have so much to discuss, and also I'm tired. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, listen to my music. I'm your host, Lilac. Now let's get into it. Love is Blind. For those who know me, you know that I love trash TV. Just the more garbage, the better. And Love is Blind is peak garbage. I'm sorry. Season 6 has been quite the roller coaster. And, I was going to start this video by explaining kind of what Love is Blind is, but I just feel like if you're clicking on this video, you probably already know. But if you don't, just quick synopsis. I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like. It's where a bunch of singles go on dates where they can't see each other to see if love is blind. And I think we all can tell by the amount of times that people have gone to the reveal and looked disappointed by what their partner looks like, that love is not blind. Okay, this reunion was long, so if you want to know the lore behind Love is Blind, then go watch it. Listen, we got to get into this. So the reunion started with Nick and Vanessa just waddling around doing what they do. I don't really care, but the one thing I will say is when they went on that shot of Tiffany and Brett, I was like, they were trying to make it look like she was sewing his pants, but it looked like she was doing something else. So I thought that was interesting. And I have my notes here because I'm just going to be all over the place if not. One of the other things about this season is that it was filmed in Charlotte. I lived there, unfortunately, for a couple years, and actually where the girls did their bachelorette party, I filmed a music video there, my very first music video. So that was kind of cool. First thing I noticed was obviously in this reunion, they brought back some of the older couples, and I liked this, but I also was kind of like, why? I don't really know what they're doing here. I don't really know what they add, but it was cute. It was cute. I wish Zach and Bliss showed up, but I know that they're expecting a baby, so good for them. Congratulations, but I wish they would have showed up. I'm just literally going down my list of notes, and my first notes is Sarah Ann looks like she's in a prom dress. Ew. And you know what? Fit check real fast before we even get into the team. Jessica looked amazing. Brittany looked amazing. I forgot who she was for a second. When she came out, I was like, who even is that? The men looked the way that there was nothing creative or special there. Amy looked amazing. Bomb. Amy is just killing the game like she always does. Chelsea, Megan Fox, I'm so sorry. Loved you in Transformers. I did not like this look. I thought the dress was weird. I didn't like the feathers. I just didn't. I wasn't feeling it. I wasn't feeling the side part, the heavy contour on the forehead. I just was not feeling it. AD, perfect, scrumptious, amazing. And we're going to get into more about AD later. Listen, there's all kind of tea that's come out. So we're joined by the whole cast except for Laura, who comes in virtually. And I just thought it was kind of shady because as soon as Laura came on, Sarah Ann was like, do we clap? And Jeremy was like, no. And I have some bones to pick with Jeremy too. So we start with Jeremy. And they discussed the rumors of Jeremy being engaged before he got on the show. And now his ex-fiance is alleging essentially he dumped her to be on the show. He's saying that's not true. He's saying they broke up a whole 10 days before the show. But she's saying that the casting process had already started before that point. The man either just went on for clout or I don't know. But he had a whole ass soon-to-be wife before he went on the show that he was just like, bye, I gotta go or out on TV. Jeremy basically, allegedly, I don't know, cheated on Laura on the show with Sarah Ann. And they deserve each other. They are both nasty, and Jeremy needs to burn every one of those Hawaiian shirts. Everyone just kind of got a weird vibe from Jeremy to begin with. Well, listen to this. While doing some research before this show, I saw on TikTok, Jeremy's ex-girlfriend accused him of DV. Okay, so not only is this man a cheater, multiple times, by the way, he's genuinely scary. Laura made a comment when she went into his apartment because it was so clean that he was like a serial killer, and this added so much to that comment. So this girlfriend is alleging that he would get so mad that he would punch holes in the wall, but also that there was one night that they got into an altercation and he held a GUN to her face.
So just with my job being in sales, it was very social. So it was a bullpen style sales environment. And so when work got out, we would all go down the street, have a cocktail, and then go home, right? So one night I go out and I'm staying out a little later than I normally do because I had gotten off work a little later, and he knew where I was. I told him what I was doing. He shows up at this restaurant, storms in, and is like, what are you still doing here? I'm sorry. I'm here just finishing up with some friends. Like, I'll be home in a little bit. What's up? Like, I thought you were at home. He's like, yeah, but I think you should come home now. I'm like, okay. Is there something wrong? Like, no, I just think like it's getting late. Like you should be home. I'm going, well, I will be home when I'm done here. I promise. Like I'll come home. I promise. And he's visibly angry and storms out of this restaurant. So I finish up what I'm doing and I leave and I go home. When I get home, he is ignoring me, won't talk to me. And at this point, I'm kind of like, whatever. So I don't press it. And then a few hours go by and I'm finally like, yeah, he's still silent treatment. So I'm like, do you want to talk about this? And it starts off at a conversation like it should. And then it escalates to an argument. And then it escalates to yelling and shouting. And at this point, the argument had moved upstairs into our master bedroom. I realized quickly we're not getting anywhere with this argument. And I just went out. So I go to leave. I go around, and I wasn't leaving the house. I was just going into the spare bedroom, which is around the corner. I turn the corner, I go around into the spare bedroom, and I go to close the door. He stops it. I can't close the door. I go to back up a little bit, and he flings the door open. The next thing I know, there is a pew-pew pointed at my face. And guys, this is really hard to relive, so bear with me here. I don't remember exactly what he said in that moment. I was so just in shock. But I literally thought my life was about to be over. I didn't know I didn't think he would be capable of it. Guys, never in a million years would I think that this person would have done this to me. Okay? Never. And so he lowered the pew-pew and I was able to run. And thank the Lord, I had my phone in my hand. I was able to run out of the house. I had 911 on the phone as I was running. And all I can think about is get away from this property. Get away from this property. So I start running as fast as I can. And I speed behind some bushes. And I start running up behind the back end of our condo complex. And I'm freaking out and crying. I tell them, I don't know. I left the property. I'm not near him. I don't know where he is. I think he's still there. And all this, I'd stay down the street for what felt like forever. And it was so cold. I was literally hiding in the bushes in my pajamas.
She's saying that on this night she found out he had all kinds of pew-pews. I hate saying that. It really diminishes the meaning for me, but I can't say the actual word. Hidden around the house, and that he basically scared the shit out of her and was very not a good person to her. Now, what does Jeremy say? I'll put his response, of course, but he has the same response as every other person that gets called out for some bullshit. They're like, oh, everyone's lying. Laura's lying. I didn't cheat. My ex is lying. I never pulled a GUN on her. Where's the police report? My ex-fiance is lying. I broke up with her, so what's the problem? Like, he's basically saying everyone's a liar.
So I'm a pretty fun, lighthearted person in general. However, this is not a laughing matter. We're going to go ahead and talk about these gun accusations that have been thrown my way by a Miss Meredith Walsh. And we're going to throw some challenges, to say the least, at this story. So let's go ahead and dive into it. I didn't watch all of the videos in pure detail, only because I already know what's going to be said. This isn't the first time I've heard this. So let's just go ahead and dive into it. It's not going to be a 6, 7, 14-part video like the other ones have been. We're just going to go ahead and knock it out in one. So 1, we're going to go ahead and address the false accusations. Yes, I was falsely accused in 2016. 2, why? I wish I knew why. To this day, I still don't know why. The only thing that I can think of is the night that this all happened, I had discovered that she was actually going around behind my back and seeing someone else. Something that I had long suspected was happening. So was able to get confirmation that night. None of this story happened. This just isn't a thing. So let's continue to go down the little rabbit trail here. So 1, let's address the whole police situation. Me being held at gunpoint, being placed in a cop car. None of this happened. The way something like that would happen is, if I'm held at gunpoint, I'm placed in a cop car, don't you think that there would be a police report over something like that? Something that serious. Don't you think there would be a police report for that? There is no police report. Yes, you did falsely accuse me of this, but there wasn't enough to go off of because the shit never happened. So let's continue. There's no police reports, nothing available about this. I've even tried finding it. I tried finding it after it all happened. I tried finding it, a week ago at this point, because all of this stirred back up for, again, the second time. The police department doesn't even happen. They never filed a report on it, never did anything. There was nothing to go off of. Why? Because nothing happened. So let's continue to go. Switch this damn page. Little heated over this, if you can't tell. I'd like to ask some of my legal friends in the audience about something like this. So, in a situation like this that is supposedly this severe, it doesn't matter if someone doesn't want to press charges. The police are going to make that ultimate decision, and then so is the district attorney. The reason I know that is I was falsely accused of this and had to go through the whole damn thing. I understood how anything could work at this point, just because I was on the other side of this. I didn't know what was going on. I had to figure it out. So, 1, there's no police report. 2, I was never held at gunpoint on anything, was never put in a police car. None of that ever happened. 3, if this was serious, and if it actually happened, something would have come of this. There would be some evidence of it somewhere. And if anybody can find that report, like I said before, send it to me. I'd love to have a copy of it. So let's address my pew-pews that were in the house. So I had, at the time, 5 guns. 3 of them were inoperable. 2 of them were, one was from my dad. It was a 22, just rifle, old 22 rifle. The second one was a World War II rifle. Neither of those worked. The third one was a single lever action shotgun, like a farming shotgun, that I had gotten from my grandfather that was from like 1942. Also didn't work. I did have my own shotgun, I had my own rifle, but I also like to hunt and shoot. Sorry, it's a thing that people do. One of the things I'm most upset about with this whole situation is I elected to turn those over that night, to not have any future problems, just be like, you know what, I don't feel like being accused of this again. I don't like this. Go ahead and take them. They're like, hey, you'll get them back. I never got those back. Not because there was ever any evidence of it ever happening, but because I learned the hard way, if you choose to turn things over like that, good luck ever getting anything back, and those were destroyed. I lost things from my father that night. I lost things from my grandfather that night, all over a lie. I've gotten over that, but obviously with this coming back up, it drums up a little bit of that kind of raw emotional feeling there. So we're going to address a couple of the bullet points here. Again, I didn't watch all the videos. I don't want to watch all the videos. I don't care to watch all of these videos. But there was a couple of funny topics that I'd like to discuss. So one, it's not like me to stay out all night and do things like that. Talking about Meredith saying she doesn't stay out all night, go out drinking, all that stuff. A couple of these things I can't prove. One of them I can. It was an every weekend event where this person was out till 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, completely no-showing, completely disappeared, had no idea where she was at. I'm 23, 24 at the time, an emotional wreck. I don't know what to do about it, so I just kind of sat and dealt with it. I was really, excuse my language, fucking stupid for doing that, but that's what I did. The one thing I can prove, and I'm not going to, you guys can go look this up yourself, I'm not going to just give it out at this point. I can back this up because there's a DUI from a week before we left to come to Florida where she pulled the same shit. She got pulled over at 1 o'clock in the morning driving from leaving a house party. Again, look that up in Sarasota County. You can find it. It's there. There's evidence of that. Here's something else I can't prove. It did happen, but we're just going to throw it out there, is a couple of months to maybe a year after this all happened, I actually ended up getting an apology email from Meredith over this whole situation. She didn't have a way to contact me over the phone. She didn't have a way to, reach me anywhere else. So she emailed me on my work email. Unfortunately, I don't work with that company anymore, so I lost that email, but that did happen. I can't prove it. Maybe I can find it at some point. Here's my favorite part of all this. Since all of this has happened, we've actually been in contact with each other. We've been cordial up through all of this. We were working together on a marketing project as recent as last year, which, again, without giving too much away, working together on a marketing project for a business that I was working on that happened right before I went on the show. She is one of the people that knew I was going on the show because I had to pause working with her because obviously I've got no contact with the outside world while I'm doing that, so had to put it on pause. Also, texting me saying, hey, don't get married on that show, then you and I couldn't get married. Obviously I took that as a joke because that would never happen to begin with. What did happen, though, is when I got back from the show, I went down to Tampa, and I was with my significant other at that time, and taking a break after the show, just going relaxing, I get a text message from her asking, hey, what are you doing in Tampa? I guess she found my location on social media or something I posted, whatever. And I told her directly, came to town for the weekend, need to get out of Charlotte after the show, wrapped up just to chill. And all the response I get is, girlfriend, got it. I'll leave you be. So there's that right there. I'm saying all of this to sum up, if any of this was true, why would somebody be in contact with you? If you were so fearful of what I had done by supposedly pointing a gun at you, would you not want to press charges? You knew where my other guns were. Would you not grab one and defend yourself? And then why would you circle back around with me and be cordial with me and work with me on projects, be texting with me? We had gone to a lunch at one point. I'm just as surprised to see this all happening, just because I'm learning things about myself from these stories that I didn't even know. But two, I'm actually really not all that surprised. I know who you are as a person. I fucked up by letting you come back around. And you know what? Here's my repercussion for that. That's fine, but you're a liar. Moving forward, my legal team is going to handle this, and I've got nothing else to say. Thank you.
Boo, boring, ew. Okay, you're a psycho. And Jeremy and Sarah Ann got ripped to shreds in this reunion, and we all love to see it. The reunion starts out with them confronting Jeremy about the cheating with Laura. He's basically like, we never cheated. I did go to her house at 5 a.m., but it was just to talk. And everyone's not having it. Laura's calling him a clown. He's making the excuse of, at least I told you, at least I didn't hide it. And it's like, yeah, bro, you had to tell her. You literally had your location on, and she could see that you were at her house. And also, the ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance is accusing him of that too, where he had his location on and she could see that he was cheating. I don't understand this man's logic because his literal train of thought is, if I have my location on, what's the problem? Okay, if you have your location on, but you're in a brothel, how does that make sense there, bruh? So in my notes, I literally wrote, Sarah Ann and Jeremy are not going to win this one. Sarah Ann, who I just never liked, she always rubbed me the wrong way from the start, kind of came in hot by saying that Laura was a pick-me girl. Now, how the fuck does that work when you slid into the DMs of an engaged man at the time and said, if you change your mind, let me know, boo. Girl, you are the literal definition of a pick-me girl. Okay, I don't know what definition you thought, but you are it, baby. I'm sorry. And you're projecting and your dress is hideous. Looks like you got it from Ross for prom season. And all that glitter, what are we doing? Okay, it's not giving. It's also revealed at this time that Sarah Ann and Jeremy are living together. Yeah, I think we all kind of expected that. Sarah Ann was basically getting ripped to shreds. I just love everything about Jessica. She's such a strong, well-spoken woman. And she was like, girl, you're the pick-me. Don't try to project on everyone else. And Sarah Ann's only tactic or retort for this was to be loud. Jessica was literally like, just because you're loud doesn't make you right. understand kind of what we're going for here. They did actually show a conversation between Laura and Sarah Ann that we hadn't previously seen before, where Sarah Ann is apologizing to Laura for reaching out to her man. And for what it's worth, it did seem like a fairly decent conversation. I don't think it's going to change anyone's mind that much when you still went after someone's man while they're engaged to him. Like, yes, I know through this experience, the whole experience I think is like only a couple weeks long. So is it like an actual engagement? In my opinion, no. These people barely know each other. And mind you, they actually get married on the show. This is not like a fake, like they get marriage certificates and everything. They get married, which is crazy to me. But it's not like a 2-3 year established relationship. Do I think that means you could slide in someone's DMs? No, I don't buy her excuse of that. And he hearted her message at the time, but was like, oh, I only hearted it. I didn't reply, so I wasn't engaging with it. Yes, you were. You should have either left it on red or shut it down, and you didn't because you wanted to cheat. Jeremy. Yeah, I felt like the conversation was good for what it was. I definitely feel like Laura was right that Jeremy just likes attention and he's just a dirty little liar. That's just what he is. Laura also drops a bomb that Jeremy was telling her that at least his image isn't as bad as Jimmy's. Gonna go ahead and disagree with you there, boo-boo, but also at the same time, I don't know why Jimmy got so much heat. In my opinion, Chelsea was for sure the toxic one. Like, Jimmy's not perfect by any means, and he obviously wasn't attracted to Chelsea. Maybe he should have just told her in the beginning, but at least he didn't let her get to the altar like Clay. I just think that Jimmy got a really bad rep this season, and I feel like for someone who was dealing with someone like Chelsea, who in my opinion was very difficult to watch, let alone deal with, he communicated well, he had a lot of patience, and he tried. Now, his behavior around AD and his behavior at this reunion was definitely shitty, but I feel like throughout the season, he did the best he could under the circumstances he was put in. Okay? And I'm not a Jimmy stan. I'm really not. He annoys me. But it's just like, where is all this energy? Because Chelsea was the real problem to me. It's so weird because my opinion of them flipped, because Chelsea in the reunion was killing it. She was eloquent. She was well spoken. I mean, keep in mind the reunions are filmed like I think a year after everything else, so they've had time to process and all that kind of stuff and self-reflect. And Chelsea definitely came off better in the reunion than she had throughout the season because the girl was a mess, but we'll get to that later. Yeah, I just think Jeremy saying, at least I'm not the villain like so-and-so, is just careful what you wish for, boo. I think something that also just shows that Sarah Ann is a pick-me is that she unfollowed all the girls, but then followed all the male cast members. So who's the pick-me again? Yeah, girl. Okay, sit the fuck down in that little Polly Pocket ass looking dress. Sarah Ann also made a video where she was saying, hey, this is all for entertainment, which the cast did not take too kindly. These are not actors. These are real people. For her to basically imply that she was causing chaos because it's entertaining, I don't think the rest of them felt like that. And it just goes to show how fake her and Jeremy are. But like, we've been through that. One other thing I wanted to note about Sarah Ann and Jeremy, which this part actually made me kind of sad. Nick and Vanessa asked if the castmates had seen Sarah Ann and Jeremy out after the show, and Chelsea said, oh yeah, I have, and every time I do, they're always broken up. So I guess they're very on and off. But when Sarah Ann was calling everybody else a pick me and saying that the girls were mean to her and whatever, she was saying that Jeremy had broken up with her, or they had broken up, or something had happened, and she felt very gaslit and was really having a breakdown kind of. And I think it's worth noting that even the girl that's with him feels gaslit and manipulated by this man. Like, there's no positive experiences I'm hearing about this man. And out of all the men that said they got therapy, Jeremy needs it the most. Okay, so then Sarah Ann and Jeremy get into their little fake ass apology. Do we believe it? No. Moving on. Laura, because she couldn't join the show, I guess she was abroad for work. Sorry, my little fur babies are everywhere. Hi. Before Laura left for her little short segment, they addressed the bean dip. Now, what is the bean dip for everyone who doesn't know? When they all first met up to see what everyone looked like, that whole thing, Laura told Jeremy to go bean dip AD. What does that mean? It means go flick her titty, okay? So she was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if you went and flicked her titty? I love Laura, but I'm gonna go with a hard no. You probably shouldn't tell your boyfriend to go flick another girl's titty in front of her boyfriend. I feel like that's just not the best move. But, you know, Laura was like, it was a joke. I obviously didn't mean it like that. I don't even know why Jeremy brought it up, because Jeremy came over and was like, hey, Laura thinks I should flick your titty, basically. Everyone just thought it was weird. Laura addressed that. She was like, it was a joke. I wasn't trying to disrespect anybody, and I deeply apologize for that. Like, how is her apology more genuine than Jeremy's apology for literally pulling weapons on people, cheating, like... Hello? Okay. It's giving narcissism. So yeah, she apologized for the bean dip. Next part of the show. Wreck-It Ralph comes in, aka Trevor. Now, this is the one we were rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. At first, everyone thought Trevor was such a gentle giant and everybody loved him. But it came out after the show, or after he left, something like that, that he was seeing a girl before the show started and was like, I love you. I'm not taking this show super seriously. I'm kind of just going on to go on. And when I get off the show, like, let's start dating again. So everyone was obviously like, look, people are going on this show to find love, and you're going on the show knowing that you have someone on the outside leading them on, then leading the people on the show on, because he led Chelsea on. He was like, I would totally be with you. You're my type, blah, blah, blah. Then the second he's off the show, he's texting this girl saying like, oh, I just had to disassociate and just say whatever to stay on the show. I love you and blah, blah, blah. Which is really crazy because he was over here trying to propose to Chelsea. Everyone felt bad when Chelsea said no. Like, it was crazy. We all really felt bad for this man. They bring Trevor on to explain himself. And now I will say this, I kind of feel bad for him. I'm not excusing what he did, but it was so obvious that like he was consumed by his anxiety, and I felt bad for him. Like, the man could barely get 2 sentences out.
Nah, say it with your chest. Don't get quiet now. Don't get quiet.
I had a whole thing planned to say. I don't know.
And it's one thing to take accountability privately, which is already pretty hard for most people. Like, it's not fun to admit that you fucked up, but it's another thing to admit that you fucked up when you have a whole room full of people glaring at you and the entire world roasting you, going on your social media, just doing the most. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot for one person, even if they know they fucked up. And he basically was like, well, me and the girl I was texting on the outside were toxic. So I really was going to be with Chelsea, but I also really was going to be with her. But also, me and the girl on the outside weren't even dating. Like, we were just friends. And everybody's like, you literally said that you were in love with her. Like, you don't say that to your friends. And he's like, yeah, I'm toxic. I mean, props to him for admitting that he's toxic, and props to him for admitting that he needs therapy. I don't know. They asked him if his motivation behind all this was clout, and he's like, no, I don't care. I'll actually get up and leave right now. Like, I don't care. I don't care to be here. I'm not furthering any kind of entertainment career. I just made a mistake, and it's just is what it is. Yeah, I don't think his answer was good, but I also think the man was clearly like shitting himself. So I don't know. I don't know. But I would say that it's nice to hear someone openly admit they need therapy. Now, it's nicer if they actually do it, but at least he admitted, hey, I'm toxic, whatever. His last sentiment was telling Chelsea, I'm sorry that I kind of led you on. If you need closure, I'm happy to give that to you privately, but I want to leave. And then he sure did scurry up and walk away. So that was that on that. Now we're moving to AD and Clay. Now, everybody's hearts were broken when Clay left AD at the altar, especially because how are you going to shut someone down at the altar in front of their friends and family by starting with, I'm rocking with you, but sir, they basically get into would AD and Clay date now that the show is over. AD kind of gives like a non-answer, but we can tell the answer is no. And Clay says yes. Clay says that he's working on himself. If you remember during the season, his biggest red flag, I would say, was that his dad was a serial cheater, so he felt like he wasn't going to be able to help himself from cheating. Now, what in the bullshittery is that? Cheating is a choice, sir. You can absolutely stop yourself. It doesn't have to be a repeated pattern. And on the show, they even showed like a conversation between his parents where his mom learned about his dad cheating and taking Clay as a child with him on trips to go cheat. How fucking sick is that? But the conversation between the parents was very good. It was like, you know, you don't have to pass on your trauma to our child, and our son can be a better husband to someone else than you were to me. It was just very mature and whatever. But I think everyone just felt like Clay was very immature, and he kept saying he wasn't ready for marriage. But then it was like, why would you go on a show that's about marriage and ends in marriage? The math is not mathing. He gives us an update. My cat gives us an update. I was hacked up when I film. Okay, he gives us an update that basically says he watched it back and it was very tough for him to watch back. And he's in therapy and he's really working on himself. And this was very emotional. Like, he started tearing up and saying he doesn't want to be a bad person. He feels terrible about what he did to AD and embarrassing her. He made a mistake and he is in therapy. Now, a lot of people online were not buying this, but I honestly I was feeling the feelings. Y'all. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not championing Clay, but like, I do believe him when he says he got therapy. He even said that he tried a couple therapists. Now, maybe I'm just gullible. I don't know. And I'm not saying he's perfect, but at least he's working on it. And I feel like that is such a huge step, especially for men. Like, men have such an aversion to therapy. I don't know what the fuck it is, but hearing multiple men, honestly, during this reunion talk about getting therapy and working on themselves was very refreshing. Out of all of the Love is Blind reunions, I felt like this one had the most maturity and growth. And I feel like you could really tell with everyone, maybe not Jeremy or Sarah Ann. We didn't expect much from them. So it's just so funny because my notes are like, boo-hoo Clay, we not buying it. And then it's like, oh, I kind of like Clay. I feel bad for him. Yeah, that's really it for AD and Clay. Although some interesting tea, AD met up with Matthew. Now, if you don't remember Matthew, he was on very briefly and he was not anyone's favorite. He was telling AD and Amber, which is really weird that they both have the same name, that he loved both of them, that he wanted to talk to both their families, to get blessings, to propose to them, just leading two girls on at the same time. But also, the show just made him look like a total asshole. It's come out later that they just did him dirty with a lot of the edits, but I think that there's some times where he just was like an arrogant asshole. And we found out that Matthew and AD went on a few dates. AD, girl, you definitely deserve better. And I think she knows that too, because she was like, yeah, he was cute, but like, we're not anything. And thank God. That's all I gotta say about that. Okay, then we go to Amy and Johnny. I really don't have much to say about them. They are the only successful couple of this season, which is mind-blowing to me that they're successful couples. Like, apparently 11 couples have gotten married on the show and 9 are still together. So maybe the science is sciencing, okay? Because a lot of them are still together. They're very cute. They're very wholesome. Their families get along well. There's really not much to say there. Just, yeah, good for them. Okay, then we move on to Chelsea, Jimmy, and Jessica. And I just want to start this by saying that somewhere online, someone said that Chelsea called Jimmy brother during sex. Like, yeah, brother. And that is both the most hilarious and disgusting thing I've ever heard. And honestly, go off, girl. That is so funny. I don't know why you would say that, but it's really funny. The last time we saw Jimmy and Chelsea, Jimmy was telling Chelsea he doesn't want to go to the altar because Chelsea was just kind of losing it. Like, she was being very clingy. I know she hated to hear that, but she was. She was being very insecure and clingy and just picking fights out of nowhere. Like, one fight she picked was Jimmy went out to the bar for an hour for a friend's birthday, and he invited her too, and she was like, no, I'm tired. He's gone for an hour. That was the first time he had went out in a couple of months, and she was like, I don't want to be with someone who goes out all the time. It's like, girl, he went out for 1 hour for the first time in like 3 months. You're making it sound like he's partying every night. So just little things like that. Like, she was just picking fights. And during that fight, she happened to reveal on camera that she thought Jimmy was out with a friend that he had previously had a physical relationship with. From what I understood was like a one-time thing or a very brief thing a couple of years ago, and they were just friends. And now here's the thing. I understand where Chelsea's coming from. I would not want my boyfriend to be friends with someone he slept with. at all. I totally understand that. At the same time, it's kind of like you either got to put up with it or you got to leave, because he doesn't want to cut off that friendship. And the issue with this argument was he asked her specifically, do not bring this up on camera because I don't want that friend to be embarrassed. And she did. She brought it up on camera. She aired it out. So during one of their last conversations where he told her he didn't want to marry her, he didn't want to go to the altar with her, he was saying, you broke my trust by putting that out there like that. And she was just like, oh, really? Oh, your secret is fucking your friends? Like, oh, that's my fault. Just being very immature. And I truly hope that Chelsea got the therapy that she needs. And I don't mean that in a shady way. I think that multiple people on that show needed therapy, but I truly think Chelsea had no business being on this show. She was constantly an emotional roller coaster. I'm like really trying to phrase this diplomatically and not be rude, but she genuinely got on my nerves. Like truly, she was miserable to watch on this show. And I just think even in the happy moments, like she was so quick to get like overwhelmed with emotion, and she had so much trauma and so many insecurities. She had no business going on this show. She has no business, at least at the point we saw her, being in a relationship at all. And I know people are going to be like, oh, that's the way they edit the show. They edit it like that. No. Maybe they edited it a little bit dramatically, but she still said and did the things. And it's like, there's no context where those things could have been put in where she wouldn't look like someone who should not be in a relationship until they've worked on themselves. Okay. Yeah, it seems like at this point, Chelsea and Jimmy are on good terms. She posted something the other day, like a couples compilation of them. So it seems like they're fine. They were really the main source of drama in this. Everyone was saying Jimmy was shitty for not being happy with her appearance, saying, oh, she lied to me about looking like Megan Fox and clearly not being into her. And everybody and their mom could just tell that Chelsea was going through some stuff. Now, where it gets interesting is when they bring in Jessica, who was part of that throuple, as I told you, because Jimmy was very obviously physically attracted to Jessica. I mean, the girl looks like a damn Kardashian. She's very pretty. Not saying Chelsea is not, but it was obvious that the attraction was way more there for Jimmy with Jessica than it was with Chelsea. They basically kind of followed up and were like, hey, how are you and Jimmy after the show? Like, did y'all talk? Are y'all friends? And Jessica revealed that she thought they were friends, but Jimmy went on a podcast and basically said the last time they ever talked, Jessica like stormed out after 10 minutes of talking and was very rude and aggressive with him. And she just wasn't. Not only did they roll back the footage where she walked out of the conversation over 2 hours in. Okay, so 10 minutes, my ass. It was over 2 hours in. But she also was very mature in saying, I don't think this conversation is going anywhere. I'm feeling like this is forced. I think we should call it. And Jimmy agreed. He was like, I agree with you. But he's trying to paint it as like, she's just this emotional mess, like storming off and not even giving him a chance to talk. And that wasn't what it was. Another source of contention in that conversation was at this point, he had already told Chelsea he loved her. So Jessica was more so just searching for some closure, because she was like, I poured my heart out to you. I wrote you a poem. I gave you all this stuff. I gave you all this reassurance, and you never voiced how you felt about me. And by the time that I was really deep in it with you, you're telling another girl you love her, but not telling me that you want to break it off, essentially like leading me on. And he was like, well, just because I told her I loved her doesn't mean I made my mind up yet, basically. And it's like, it does though. It does, because you told one of them you were in love with them. So I would hope that that would mean that you had your mind made up, because if it doesn't, then you're just really shitty for telling someone you love them just to be like, actually, I take it back. I am not sure what I want. Quirky. So Jimmy's a damn liar. And I'm so glad they played back the footage and showed her for the way that she actually was, because she did not just storm off. She very maturely said that we're not getting anywhere in this conversation, so let's just not. And Jimmy's response was honestly very akin to what Jeremy would say, because he was like, well, that's your perception of it. I'm like, bro, there's footage of it. It's not even down to perception anymore. It's literally what was on camera, dude. Like, what do you mean? I'm tired of these nasty ain't shit men being like, yeah, maybe I did throw you off a cliff. Maybe I didn't. I feel like that's your perception of it. And the broken leg that you have right now from it is really all in your head. I don't even think that we've even met. Like, Hello? That part of the conversation in the reunion, I feel like I could definitely see why everyone didn't like Jimmy and called him a gaslighter and all this kind of stuff, because Jimmy was not presenting himself in the best light in this reunion. One thing I will say that thought was cute came out of it was Chelsea and Jessica are now like besties, and I think that's very cute. I want to be friends with Jessica. That's the only reason I would want to ever go back to Charlotte, is I would want to run into Jessica and just kick it with her. She seems so cool, and she gets emotional when she talks about her daughter. It is so cute. Like, Jessica is just a queen. And did he choke when he saw her? Yes, he did. I'm really mad we couldn't see when he first saw her. They didn't show that because, bruh. Jimmy also said that Jessica was just getting the good edits and he was getting edited poorly, which I honestly still don't agree with. I feel like through most of the season, Chelsea was the one that was getting edited crazy. And I don't even think that was the edits. I think that was just her. But Jessica by no means was getting a good edit. She's just a good person. Like, that's how it works. And as my notes say, Jimmy sucks ass. Chelsea also was asked about the Megan Fox comment, because let me tell you, when she said she looked like Megan Fox, she got roasted to the gods. And I feel like it's worth pointing out that she did say, oh, people tell me I look like Megan Fox, but I don't personally see it. I think it's just because I have light eyes and dark hair. Now, I understand people are saying that she's acknowledging that she doesn't even think that's true. However, when you're in an experiment where you don't know what the other person looks like, and you tell a man anything even similar to Megan Fox, he's gonna think you look like Megan Fox. Okay? I think she knew what she was doing by implying that. And the whole thing was to not even know what you look like anyway, so she shouldn't have even talked about it in the first place. I don't think she should have got flamed the way she got flamed, but I also don't think she should have said it. She also said that they cut out the part where Jimmy said he looked like some celebrity that he didn't look like either. That's probably true. I don't know. I think looks-wise, they're pretty similar. Like, I don't think Jimmy should have been as disappointed in her appearance as he was, because, like, they're playing in the same league. Jessica was not. Respectfully, sorry. No shade to Chelsea, all the shade to Jimmy. Jessica was out of your league to begin with, boo-boo. Now, getting towards the end of the episode, we're talking about Brittany and Kenneth, and like, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. There really was not a lot going on with them. The relationship essentially ended because Kenneth was on his phone too much, which, as someone on their phone too much, can relate, but he was totally neglecting Brittany, and that was not how I thought it was going to go down. I honestly thought Brittany was going to break up with him, but he broke up with her, and they were kind of just like, can you explain why you were on your phone so much? And he explained that he's a school principal, and during the experiment, he did not have time to be on his phone, so he had a lot to catch up on, and he acknowledges that he was on his phone too much. However, that was why. Brittany and Kenneth said they talk every single day. They're very close now. They're not dating, but they've worked it out and they have a good friendship. So yay, good for them. I don't really have much to say on them. They really were pretty inconsequential in the grand scheme of things. Kenneth got his chance to say he did care about the breakup. He just is not as emotional as some people. Everybody emotes differently, which I can respect that. Now, Matthew, like I said, they got to him at the end. He declined to come on the show, but AD was like, yeah, we went on some dates. And that's about that on that. Nothing really more to hear from Matthew. The former cast members, I really wasn't paying attention to them. I'm sorry. There was so much tea with this season that I was like, I don't really care. But Giannina, I think her name is, she's pregnant. She's very cute. She's with her man that she met from another dating show. They're very cute. Her dress was stunning. Chelsea and Kwame, cannot believe they're still together. Seriously, honestly, good for them. But during that season, I was like, there's no chemistry between these two people. So I was shocked. Chelsea's doing casting for the show. They seem good. They seem fine. Good for them. Alexa and Brendan, they're pregnant. Congratulations. I thought it was funny at the end when Brendan was trying to say something about Vanessa and he was like, Miss Little Trey.
Miss Lachey, Miss Lachey.
He like could not say her name. It was crazy. Like Izzy said, that love is wine is hitting. Micah and Izzy, inconsequential. I thought it was interesting that Micah was there because Micah was on a lot of Chelsea's posts, like defending her. And people were not having it because Micah was not a fan favorite, okay? I think it's just interesting to see how these relationships form after the show. I do think there's like this bond that comes from it because from what we've heard of the people that talk about Love is Blind after, it seems really traumatic. Yes, they do screen people and they do psyche evals, which if they do, I don't know how Jeremy got on there. But they also ask about previous trauma, which from the contestants allegedly is used against them. So it's like, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk about this painful thing and this painful thing? And you're going on these long dates day after day after day after day. And you know they're giving them a bunch of alcohol to kind of loosen them up and make them more willing to share and get deep and get vulnerable. And it's exhausting. Like you're going through all these emotions with these people that you barely know, and the production team is throwing in your trauma, and on top of it you got to get married, and on top of it you got to deal with not knowing what this person looks like, and then maybe dealing with having to be with them when you don't like what they look like, perhaps even being contractually obligated to stay for a certain amount of time knowing you're not into this person, getting your families involved because they all have to meet each other's families. So getting your family and your friends involved, constantly being on camera, it's just a lot of pressure. And it is honestly kind of nice to see how many of the contestants from former seasons aren't genuine friends now, because it's like a trauma bond, I'm sure. As someone who's been on productions, just doing a production where you're on set for a long time, like I've been on set for like 20 hours and I wasn't doing anything emotional, I was just an extra. Even that is exhausting. Just sitting on set and having to be on is a lot. Let alone having to meet all these new people, having to disclose all your baggage, having to talk about stuff you're uncomfortable talking about, being around these people that you're not comfortable around, being around these people that production is probably creating beef between you and them with so they can have more drama. It's just a lot. I used to think I would want to go on this show if I was single, and I definitely would not. One last little follow-up is Jimmy has said that if AD would be down, he would shoot his shot with her. And I just want to say, ew. I just want to say, Jimmy, no. AD deserves better. Jimmy, you, like Chelsea, really need to find yourself. And Jimmy was giving scumbag during the reunion. During the season, I was more inclined to like be empathetic to him because I'm like, wow, he's really dealing with this person who is not easy to deal with. But like I said, it's like they totally switched and regressed, where Chelsea seems like the mature one now, and Chelsea seems like she's worked on herself. Not 100%. I've seen her post after the show, and like she's still got some immaturity there and should have taken more accountability for some things. But overall, Jimmy just came off like, just if the ick was a person, it would be Jimmy and Jeremy. And we all been knew this, and we've been knew to avoid men with J names, because men with J names are always toxic and trash. I'm sorry. And am I saying that because my ex had a name that started with a J? Maybe. But tell me a girl that hasn't dated a man whose name starts with a J, and tell me that that relationship didn't end out like shit. I'm just, listen, don't be mad at me. Be mad at the history of the universe, baby. Like, J names is trash. Okay, that's what we learned. I think the thing I'm most and also least shocked about is Jeremy, because he was definitely giving crazy vibes on the show, but I wasn't expecting him to have like whole DV accusations against him. Damn, that's about all. I really can't think of anything else. And I feel like I'm just talking all over the place. So if y'all haven't seen Love is Blind, number one, why'd you even watch this? You probably don't even know what I was talking about, but you should watch it. And number two, if you want me to do this more, talk about more reality shows, because that's literally all I watch, let me know. I happily will. Let me know anything else you want me to talk about. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, listen to my music. Thank you for all the growth on my channel. Thank you for the people that continue to watch my videos. Like, I know my views to a lot of people aren't a lot, but to me, I'm like, damn, I'm getting that many views on my videos. Like, that's so cool. Thank you for all the support. I will see y'all next time. This is gonna be a bitch to edit. Yeah, that's all, and that's it. Bye.